prestigious thing.
Right. Yeah. So that's an interesting topic that I kind of want to go over. And
Okay.
by no means am I sitting here speaking to you as if I have education or like I can relate to whatever you're saying.
Oh, yeah.
Throw it out there, you know.
No, for sure.
I'm speaking on, you know, from what I've seen from the friends that I've had and from the people that have talked to me that say it is challenging to be in a position that you don't know whether or not to act. Do I act Mexican? Do I act white? Or do I act black?
Yeah.
And it's like, do I act black to my black friends? Do I act Mexican to my Mexican friends? Like, that's confusing. We're human beings. We're programmed to act however we feel like we need to act.
Exactly.
So I think just seeing, you know, how you present yourself and how like you talk, I can get the assumption. I can go there. I can get the assumption of, oh, I mean, yeah, he's probably white, you know, because of the whole, well, just because you don't speak a certain way, or I don't speak Spanish, does that not make me Hispanic or Mexican?
And why does that surprise you?
Exactly. It's kind of on the same basis, but not really. But to make the point, it's almost like, why is it that we're at a point to where it's not just white people trying to be racial towards others, it's all of us, you know? It's all of us kind of gentrifying. We are assuming that you look this way, so I'm gonna think that you're gonna steal a car or you're gonna start, you know, using the F-bomb every other word, you know? And if you don't do that, then I'm just gonna assume that something's wrong with you.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's interesting another reason why I think it's so like great that I'm learning more about you, you know, on this. We didn't really talk about you being, you know, hanging out with kids that were Jewish when you were young, but I do think that adds depth to you, man.
Oh, I appreciate that.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I feel like people that are like-minded or that are worthy enough to get to this point, I always try to bring on people that have a story to tell. So your story, from what I've seen, is your young years, it was almost like trying to figure out who you were, not really trying to, I'm going to be a superhero when I grow up, you know?
Exactly.
How at 8 years old are you supposed to be like, well, how am I supposed to be now? I'm not worried about 10 years from now. I'm worried about waking up the next day and wondering how my friends are going to treat me if I talk a certain way.
Exactly. Growing up, yeah, definitely, especially career-wise, I felt like it was on like, you know, a random character taker, and like you saw the characters going by, and I said, okay, that one, and then I just went with it, you know. So, yeah.
No, I think that's a perfect scenario to put yourself in, because I feel like kids nowadays, they're becoming more realistic in what's attainable to get.
Yeah.
And I see these kids on TikTok, you know, learning how to do things, manipulate things at, you know, such young ages nowadays. It's crazy. You know, the education that these kids have and the access, exposure they have to technology or whatever that looks like, for them to be able to do certain things that I can never do at 6 years old it's marvelous.
Yes.
It's really cool. On the flip side, I do feel like it is huge to be a dreamer. You know, like sometimes you gotta have that dream. You gotta have that something that you put your faith in, that you know you can only attain, and regardless if it's possible physically, it's something you work towards. You know, and it turns into something. Regardless if it turns into that exact dream, it turns into something concrete that you can say that you work towards.
And that's the important thing about dreams. Sometimes your dream is gonna shape and shift and fall into your circumstances. And I think it's up to us as the creators to decide whether we want to roll with it or change it.
Do you think a lot of the work that we do is created around a dream, I would say, oriented mindset, or do you feel like everything has to be analytical?
I don't know. For some reason, it's weird. I know that I'm supposed to do something creatively.
No, you're good, bro.
Like there's something in me that says, okay, you're supposed to do something creatively. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the art looks like. I don't know what the results look like. I just know that I need to put my energy to creating something and bringing something to life that's in concept.
Right.
So that's really all I know for sure, you know, my gut feeling.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm still learning art styles. I'm still learning a bunch of other stuff I haven't really uncovered yet as an artist.
Yeah, and that's cool, because I don't feel like at any point you gave off the impression that you knew everything that you're doing and you were the best at doing it.
Exactly.
You know, so I think it's really interesting to see how adaptive you are to knowing that this might be the way it's done today, but I know in a year it's probably not going to be the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we had that conversation of, we're always having to learn more and more because there's always something new coming up.
Exactly.
We talked about, we could go on a tangent for 2 hours talking about social media, but just alone talking about what vertical recording has done for not only creators, but for everyone. Because you can stand by it, I stand by it. I feel like photographers at a very long time were professional because they knew how to take pictures horizontally. They knew how to make creative work horizontally, whereas what's everyone doing with the flip phone, even before the whole smartphone, they're taking it straight up vertical. And now it's almost like we're put into a persuaded mindset to start doing that more because that is how people read things. We all read and access stuff on people's phones.
And it's funny because like 5 to 7 years ago, I would look at a vertically recorded video and be like, amateurish, not even worth my time. Go back to the horizontal ones, So it's crazy how times have changed and standards have changed.
Exactly. And to keep the ball moving with the whole moving to a different era, moving to a new, whatever the new is, I think it's so cool to see you that you don't get stuck in your ways.
Oh yeah.
You get to a point to where it's okay to keep certain things in your toolbox and make sure that you're moving along with that, that piece in the back of your mind or in the back of your pocket.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, to be able to adapt, I think that's what makes a successful creator one that keeps going and learning more things.
Exactly. You said it perfectly, a toolbox. And sometimes that tool that you had, sometimes it's more important than ever with opportunities down the line. And that's the beauty about it. You're prepared.
Yeah. And I don't know, dude. I'm happy to say that the work that I do produces the results that I have, and it's never given me the point where I'm like, I'm fine. I have done it all. And I think to look at analytics now and talk a little bit more about that, where I don't feel like I'm an analytically driven person. I don't ever want to sit to the point where I'm looking at a result and that's defining what my work is. To me, to the people that are, putting their money, time, their hours into it, I see it more as we can get better here, and this is where we can get better. It's a learning curve, it's something that you have to look at. And I think that's why I've always had like some kind of war with salespeople and people that are based off commission because they are driven by numbers, which is great, great for your industry. But for the work that I do, I'm in the people business, and my work is driven by other people. If that makes sense.
No, that makes total sense.
I don't want 500 people to watch this and only get to 5 minutes of this episode or 30 minutes of the episode. I want 20 people to watch this that are going to watch the full thing and say, hey, how can I learn more?
And that's the right mindset to have.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll tell you something. When I first ran into your TikTok and I followed you, you would start popping up on my For You page. Okay. This is towards the end of my burnout with TikTok. Okay. I was like, I'm doing everything myself. Something needs to change.
Yeah.
But you would keep on posting workouts, motivational quotes, and you don't know this, but that served as one of many motivations to keep me going. Saying, PhD is what? No, seriously. And I think that's the beauty about creating as a creator. You really don't know who you're helping on that end of the spectrum.
Right.
So just keep doing you, and you're helping out more people than you realize.
I appreciate that, bro. Yeah, that makes me...
Hey, it's true.
That makes me feel good.
No,
like, honestly, especially coming from a person like you, who obviously is, you're doing everything right. In terms of work.
Thank you.
But I look at it as the same way. I see a camera in front of me, and there's times where I'm just like, dude, I don't even know how I'm gonna do this today.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just like, what do I say to the camera that's, first of all, it's not gonna sound corny, it's not gonna sound not like me. And those are the two beefs that I've had with myself is, am I making this because I'm making it because I want to, get a result out of it, or am I making this just to kind of make it? And I always try to find purpose in everything that I do.
Exactly.
There are times where I can get away from that, but I notice that the people that are doing great things and the people that are always constantly popping up on my For You page that are just giving this education always have a purpose behind almost everything they do.
I see.
And that's kind of how, I got onto what you did, and you brought like this whole creativeness, but in a learning perspective. And I'm like, I like the way he talks, because I don't really like to watch videos that are just straight tutorials. Like, tell me a story, give me some vibrant music or give me some vibrant, upbeat, narration behind it. And I feel like you brought that to that aspect, the videos that you were making, very short, very quick to the point, very just boom, boom, boom. And I go through the comments and I see hey man, thank you for this. I didn't even know 15-minute tutorial. You broke it down in X, Y, Z, and you did this.
Yeah.
Moneymaker for sure. And I was like, dude, heck yeah, you learn things. So it's almost like I took kind of that from you, and I was like, okay, I need to stop with this minute stuff, and now I need to start shortening it and getting to the point.
Exactly.
You know, that's huge.
Exactly. And you only have to be a little bit ahead to teach and lead. You don't have to be this seasoned professional. So that's the biggest lesson I got from you.
Yeah, man. And like I said, the words of encouragement are always like appreciated on this side. Like very humbly speaking, I'm glad that that's kind of what it did for you, and I'm hoping it does that for other people.
It's a real event that I noticed. Now, you know what? Like, why? How do I know BHD? That's what I ask myself when you hit me up. How do I know? And this is how I knew you. This is how I became familiar with you. I got to know you. So
no, that's huge. Like I said, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Kind of. I know we've been going back and forth with your story. You know, how the way you were brought up and what you were around. But what I really found interesting that I wanted to touch on, and I think is a great talking point for the podcast.
Okay.
I feel like it describes you. You know, I feel like it describes you in a situation that's real life. Is the interview you spoke about when we were talking on the call about you going into an interview and basically, you know, this recruiter or this person that's interviewing you asks you for the work that you're doing in portfolio, and you went ahead and created a portfolio based off of some non-existent businesses. Can you explain that story to us and talk to us about the reasoning behind that? Because I think it would be great to have people understand why you did what you did.
Of course. So I was applying for jobs my first year after graduating, or not graduating from college. And I would make logos based off of characters, fan art, stuff like that, stuff that I liked, you know? And I would apply to jobs, specific industry jobs, maybe coffee shops, golf sport jobs, with my Dragon Ball Z and Naruto art. And people would be like, yo, this is sick. Well, what am I supposed to do with this, you know?
Yeah.
So I would be like, and this is a lot of for the creatives, I put myself in a mentality where, okay, you need to do all this free work for these real world brands and find these people, and then you can start applying for jobs. And that was very discouraging for me. So instead, I got advice from a YouTube video. One YouTube video can change your entire business model.
Yeah.
Hey, make the work up. And guess what? Sell the work once you're presenting it, and then tell them that it was all made up.
Wow.
Because that's the product. Making a brand believable, realistic. Yeah. So that's what I did with my first job. Yeah, so.
I've never heard that before.
Oh, really?
I've never heard that. I've come across points in my time of applying for jobs where I'm like, should I do this? Like, should I try to do this? And I think to myself, and I always would talk myself out of it, like, no, there's no way. Why? How would lying come off as trustworthy enough to be an employee for them?
Yeah.
And by the way you explained it, I was like, oh, dude, that makes total sense. You know, you went in there, you basically built this content off of stuff that you basically came up with in your head, and you present it. And I think the powerful thing that you did in there was present the work. Exactly. And I think there's two things to interviewing. You know, it's having some experience. I won't say all of it. Some experience that matches up with the job. It has everything to do with the confidence you go in walking in. But the presentation that you're giving of yourself is the most important.
Yeah.
I've come across people that probably have been very mediocre supervisors or mediocre employees, but they talk well in their interview. You know what I mean? It's like, I look at it this way. You went ahead and you did 3 hard things. One of them that was non-existent, and the second one that was probably the most easy out of it, which was building the work. And he presented it in a way that caught their attention. Because speaking matters. Speaking is it's a skill. It's not something that you can just pick up, you know, by talking to a couple of people. No, you got to sound intelligent.
Exactly.
You know, you got to sound like you know what you're doing. You got to have the conviction of, this is what I have to show you. You know, however you want to say it. But you know, I have this business, and this is doing this, and this. I brought this to the attention. This is the why. This is the ROI. This is all this. Boom. And that's where they're like, oh, he just answered all of our questions in a 3-minute speech. That's powerful, man.
And what's crazy is that I want to say about 2 years ago, I went through a weird stage where I knew what I was doing, and I could not present it to a sound. So it sounded like I knew what I was doing.
Got it.
So you can be skilled, but if you can't sell your skills, you still make no progress.
It's a reference that I like to use a lot with buddies of mine, where it's like Wolf of Wall Street reads also with his pen. And it's really as simple as that if you think about it. You know,
that scene.
I think we tend to overcomplicate things as years go by, as more education is brought out or whatever, research, whatever it is.
Exactly.
But I think talking to people is so important because it really shows what you're interested in and what you're trying to do with the time that you have someone for. I look at interviews with people as a time to sell myself, but to learn about why people react to certain things and why they, listen to certain parts.
Yeah.
And every time I'm interviewed, I always pick up that they're always so drawn to the lowest part of my life. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's where I kind of got the depth thing where I was all, it's a formula. People want other people to work for them that have gone through things that they know they can pick themselves up from, or they rebutted on.
You have a backbone.
Yeah. And nobody wants to hear like a fantasy story. Leave that in the movies. The happy ending, whatnot. What people want to hear is real. What they want to see is real. And sitting in front of me is a kid that he had basketball going for him. Moved around a little bit and decided to walk into an interview and say, "Hey, this is the work that I've done. These are the businesses. Oh yeah, hold up. Before you hire me, this is real. This is a joke."
Yeah, and that's what really got them. They're not real. No, they're not in Chandler. They're not in Gibbard. They're made up. But look them up. They're like, damn.
So, what did that first job do for you? How has that platformed you to where you're at right now?
So the first job showed me what to expect when working in the Arizona creative industry and the creative industry in general. My first job, I worked at Cortex Visuals. It was a car wrap company specialized in making car wraps and other marketing materials. So I learned how to work in a team. I learned how to work with realistic deadlines. Learn consequences if you didn't perform on certain things. So just getting that general feel of what type of excellence is needed to operate a business was very refreshing and eye-opening to me.
Got it.
Yeah, because doing I came from an environment where I would, last minute in the final project, and it would look half decent and I'll get a curved, grade for it. And so I was really I didn't know the expectation level of what was expected in the real world.
That makes sense. And I appreciate you going in depth a little bit more on that. Do you think, handling that job the way you did, do you feel like your career would have set a path that led down to where this is at this right moment, or do you feel like things would have been different?
Things would have been very different. I probably would be still working there and making about $4 extra an hour for the time spent there.
Jeez.
And so I always like to start with the end in mind.
Okay.
And I'm not, my salary was fairly, mid, so I wasn't going to stay there for too long.
Right. Moving from, that role, do you, the roles that you stepped in, to get to where you're at, do you feel like you took things from them that you agreed with, you didn't agree with, and, what were some of those things that you didn't necessarily agree with that you felt you wanted to do differently for yourself?
Honestly, the things that I disagree with are things that are totally normal, and that's because I am not an employee.
Right.
I'm an entrepreneur. So normal employee obligations, getting there, having to wear a dress code, stuff like that.
Got it.
Hated that stuff. Resented that stuff. I always threw a fit, always mentioned something about it, and it just wasn't me. And when I would do it for the pay, for the circle I was in, for the opportunity, it just wasn't me, So, and I couldn't ignore or escape the feeling, no matter how much of a good job I was doing, how much I liked the people there, I couldn't escape the feeling. So, just learning, okay, you're gonna learn what you need to learn out of this, and move on when it's really time to move on.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the career path I've been doing lately, until I have to move on my own.
And the realization of that is huge though, because you'll have people that, they hate the environment they're in necessarily. Not necessarily the dress code, but like the people that are working around, and it's always like a complaint of, I don't like this, I don't want to go to this, I don't wake up at this time, why do I get paid this money? But they don't really change that, it's almost like a constant circle of life thing that they just seem to be in a nightmare on, and they just continue to keep getting on the ride and go through it. I don't believe everyone has an entrepreneurial mindset. I don't believe everyone has a mindset to run their own business, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But in your instance, I think, again, it shows that the personality that someone has to change their environment and find a solution and not just blame other people. And that's where I have an issue is like, I think anyone would love to start their own business that they would have interest in and have that run successfully or whatnot. Cool.
Yeah.
But the realistic item that I'm not appreciative of is the people that they blame because they don't have certain things. You know, and the only reason I understand that is because I used to be one of those people.
Oh, really?
When I was like 18, 19 years old.
Oh, that's understandable.
You know, like I'm 18, 19, I was just like, I'm not here because of this person and this person. And if it wasn't for these two people, I would be somewhere else. You know, so it's like, you can only control what you have in front of you. You know, what you're obligated to do, your role, your title, and everything else that's in between. You know, sometimes not even your title. But for you to go in there and just say, no disrespect, but I'm gonna do my own thing. Like, I understand why all this is in place. This is what corporate America is, but I don't want this.
Exactly.
And you did that.
Yes.
The respectfulness and the way you handled it, I feel like, is huge because no one ever talks about that. It's just kind of assumed that you're supposed to be a good person.
I'll do you one better because there's a collateral beauty behind it. So, the first 4 jobs, first of all, my job history, I've only stayed at my full-time jobs for a year.
Okay.
So employer-wise, if they'll see it without seeing me, they'd be like, this guy probably sucks at what he does.
Right.
But my first 4 jobs, I quit unprofessionally.
Okay.
It wasn't like, hey, I give you my 2 weeks. It's like, hey, I got a job upgrade. I'm sorry. Down.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
So I learned to not do it that way.
Right.
But you eventually get used to learning how to quit and becoming numb to that fear because you have the skill set. So I think people should focus on acquiring a skill set to do the job.
Yeah.
And once you know you can do it so well enough, you don't have to worry about getting fired or finding another job. You know?
Right.
That's just from my perspective.
No, and that makes a lot of sense. And I'm glad that you touched on that because there's always a question that ponders people say, when is it appropriate to leave this job? You know, I just got here 6 months in, like when do I start thinking about the role? And I think the answer is right there from what you just said is, you know, learn how to do that role and you feel like you have enough confidence and enough, you know, background and portfolio work to be able to show that role. You know, start looking. And I think it's right now our times is very challenging. It's a very competitive market now. Whereas it used to be 4 years ago, oh, you know how to use a camera, you know how to edit? Boom, you're hired. You know, we needed that. But nowadays it's like anyone that's 15, 13 and over is knowing how to edit videos now. Like there's no age that can't do this. So where can you get better at? And I resonate with that because I was kind of in a similar situation to where I was like, you know what, maybe I should start looking for another role. And I told myself, and I had, you know, people come up to me and say, oh, can you help me with this, this, and this? I'm like, oh shoot, I don't know how to do these few things. Let me give myself the assistance and the training from other peers to help me teach that. And regardless if they think that I'm just trying to learn it, I'm doing this to platform my skill set so I can get to the next place and be happy with where I'm at.
Exactly.
So regardless, the hidden agenda part, it's within yourself, but it should be that way because everyone wants to move up.
Exactly.
You know, there's always a pyramid that you're trying to reach, and the top, the end goal is whatever you want it to be. But like you mentioned, education has to be there, or else you just kind of look funny.
And once you have the skills, you kind of put yourself in a position where you can say, okay, I'm offering more value I'm offering value to this company.
Right.
Do I like this company? Do I like the people around this company? Am I fulfilled? You don't have to be in a position where you have to be like, oh, okay, let's just ignore that part because I need to make ends meet.
Right.
So doing a lot more video. This is something I've been practicing for. So
awesome.
I'm excited, and this is a really cool experience.
Yeah, man. I'm glad that you took the initiative to start, doing your video again. I wanted to ask you a little bit because I know you said that you wanted to talk about it on our meeting. What made you, stop the whole content making for TikTok and Instagram?
Oh, I'm glad you asked.
Yeah.
So we'll go into a little bit of the story. I originally made my Instagram with the wrong intention. I made it because I wanted it to look cool.
Okay.
And I wanted to have a lot of followers, and I didn't have a lifestyle to betray what got a lot of followers. So I said, what's the next best thing? I have my skills. I'll just start posting artwork. So I started posting artwork, and at the beginning stages, I was living with dorm mates. They'd roast the hell out of me for my artwork. Roast me, it's not good, like how is this competitive? And I'd be like, you know what? They're right. God damn it, if I stop now, I'm gonna look like a bitch. Mm-hmm. So I kept going. And once I kept going, I would get, hey, can you do this for me? Hey, can you do this for me? Hey, can you do this for me? And all of a sudden, 6 or 7 months down the line, I have 5,000 followers. And I'm making more money than anyone in my dorm room. And they're not making fun of it anymore. Mm-hmm. So past the 5,000 followers, I got really addicted to posting, keeping on top of social media and stuff. And then, I would say about a year of posting on social media, I eventually built this reputation that I was the logo guy. And although I did specialize in making logos, I knew that I wanted to make value-based content, and I really had to think about what content do I want to deliver to the world that fulfills me. And making a logo is one of the tools in my bag of tricks, you know? So I did not want to be regarded as the logo guy. I wanted to be regarded as the problem solver who takes business ideas and business concepts and makes them a reality by giving you that first month of traffic, showing you sales and a business model to make it real. Yeah. And you can't just go on the internet and draw that up or say, hey, here's how you make X amount of sales a month. Mm-hmm. You need to build some type of rapport. So around the stages when I was making TikTok and stuff, I was making tutorials to try to provide value. Yeah. But it would be about logos and Photoshop tricks and stuff. And I saw my path going down to being a Photoshop tutorialist or an artist like that. And that is not what I am. I'm a problem solver, hustler, survivor, will learn anything to get it done type dude. So I eventually took all this time since I stopped posting on TikTok to build rapport with SEO. And I found a way to do that without working working at a 9-to-5 without being an employee at a 9-to-5. Okay. And it's called being a serial entrpreneur. So this way, companies will hire you to be their marketing function, and they will hire you, your company, sign not W-9, oh my goodness, I'm blanking out, 99, 1099 contract. Okay. You open up in a business account, and they start paying that business account. So my personal earnings is zero. My business account, they have all my gross income. Yeah. So with that being said,
I like that.
I was able to play with budgets for SEO, my marketing campaigns, my ideas with larger budgets in the thousands, the 10,000s, the 100,000s. And I was never able to do that by myself, making logos, trying to raise that funds up myself. Yeah. When I was able to make sales and start making consistent sales by doing consistent practices, I said, you know what? This is the product right here. This is what I want to talk about. And this is what I want to teach other people how to do for themselves. Because anyone can open up and make a business that makes sales. And it's crazy to say that now because I didn't believe that 2 months ago, 3 months ago.
That's wild. You just taught me something. And I know, the W-2, 4s, I know all the paperwork process, the 1099s, the contracting. To know that you can do something like that and to know that you're doing that, that's knowledge, man. Mm-hmm. Like that's knowledge that needs to be shared because I feel like a lot of people have that same mindset of, so many ideas and strategies that could be put to a concrete dollar sign. Mm-hmm. And to see that you're doing that, you have something for sure. Mm-hmm. And I think you can definitely, share that knowledge and teach people on the right ways to do that.
Of course.
Flourish. Of course. Whatever that looks like. I'm not even talking about money wise. Whatever happy motivated you are to making content, making strategies, helping people, you're gonna flourish. Because
I appreciate
right there, bro. That's huge.
Yeah. Yeah. Chasing the money, no matter how you do it, it's just so empty and unfulfilling. And it eats at you every day you do it.
It's tough. I'm not even dude, I can't even talk about money like that because I've never really been able to attain something like that. But to see these people that have, all the money in the world, and I actually want to kind of tie that into what you talked about. You started your Instagram account and TikTok account because you wanted to portray a lifestyle that you didn't have.
Yep.
I can relate to that because I feel like a lot of people can relate to that because I catch myself at times saying, oh, I'm out doing this, I'm gonna make sure I post it.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at it at the end of the day, I'm like, oh, dude, I don't care. That's not me. You
Exactly.
know? Why did I post that? Like, because I'm out, in Vegas having a good time, drinking. Like, that's not what my purpose is. That's not how I want to be portrayed as, oh, the guy that drinks a lot, the guy that goes out a lot. That's not it.
Exactly.
So being mindful of stuff like that is huge because then you start seeing clear, oh, shit, I need to take a step back. The stuff that I'm trying to do is not what I can live or how I want to live. Because you start overthinking stuff. You start, oh, well, I don't have this yet, so I'm waiting till I get this, buy this, and then, okay, now I have time to do that. It's an ongoing process, bro. And for you to say that, it's another reminder of do with what you have.
Exactly.
You always hear the great people saying, do with what you have. You never have not enough stuff to do stuff. And I'm glad that you mentioned that because I think it opens up the door of where social media has gone. It's kind of scary because it's almost like it's an unauthenticated app that we're going to share a fake happiness with people to get some sort of result from it.
Exactly.
And for short instances or not, I get on TikTok, I make the content that I do, sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's educational, sometimes it's motivational. And then the result is people think I'm gay. And in the comments, oh, are you sure you're not gay? And then it's to the point to where you can do everything right and still get that negative assumption in that case. I'm not even saying negative to what they're calling me. I'm just saying the negative assumption of something you're not. And that's where you got to bite your tongue and be like, that's where we are in social age. That's where we are. If you are going to have a profile, be ready to take on the heat. Just like your roommates gave you shit for that.
Mm-hmm.
I started my podcast in 2018. Everyone was exes, people that, didn't really know if they liked me or fucked with me.
Yeah.
Oh, bro, your podcast is shit. Why do you do that? I'd be at the bar and be like, oh, you have that podcast? Good luck with that, bro. Like, what are you even trying to do with it? When podcast wasn't even huge, I was doing this shit since, before we're at this age now. And I saw and said, no, I'm gonna keep doing it. Like, I really don't care what you gotta say, but you know about it.
Exactly.
You know I have a podcast.
Exactly.
So
talking about it.
I'm getting to you, and lo and behold, the more consistent you get, the more people that start to notice. You get the good ones. You start reading out the good ones, the good people that are, hey, I want to pay for this. Hey, I want to come on your podcast. I would have some good topics to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And then a few months later, it's, oh, bro, how's your show going? Hey, I haven't seen you drop an episode. Like, what's going on? You got to share that, man. Like, you got to keep going. And that's where that one positive comment can overdo all of the bullshit that you've gone through, in a flip of the switch.
Exactly.
And that's huge. Exactly. I'll say that. That's huge for you to keep striving on something that no one else is doing and put yourself where you're at now.
Oh, I appreciate that. And I feel like people, they test you. They test you because they would say, okay, he's trying this new thing. Is he really committed?
Right.
So they'll try anything,
Yeah.
I feel like people already know what bothers you and what to say to bother you, whether your art sucks, you're gay, you're not working out, you're weak or whatever, you're, something like that. And if you do react to it in a negative way, it's kind of saying, okay, they're right. The validation you're proving their validation.
Yeah.
So for you to not, go against the grain and submit to them, it builds that mutual respect. Like, he's still doing it.
Yeah. And that's cool. I've never looked at it that way where they're kind of holding you accountable to that. That's what it is. That's a cool mindset shift that I've never really thought of. I looked at it more as people. I come from a small town. People live through other people's work and other people's jobs, other people's life. Yeah. And that's how my town is kind of surrounded around. There's good people in my town, a lot of good people. But just as much good people, there are some people out there that want to see you fail. And I always saw that as, damn, you're really looking at me, at what I'm doing, and hoping and wishing bad on me. I feel sorry for you. I do. I truly do. Like, I'm sorry that whatever I did to hurt you or whatever I did to cause this pain has brought you to watch everything that I'm doing and hopefully think that I'll fail. But now that I have that, what you just said, it makes a lot of sense because who else is going to hold you accountable? Sometimes that inner person inside you, it's not you're going through some shit, you're depressed, you have anxiety, whatever. Sometimes that outsource of, hey, you suck is the boom. All right, let's pick it up. Like it can be. It really can. So it's like there's different ways to look at it, and I like that mindset that you have.
I'll tell you what, the mindset came from posting and not posting again, because very interesting things happened that I noticed. One, once I stopped posting, nobody would hit me up socially. People who didn't see my posts daily would forget about me. Like I was a feed in their life.
Oh.
So people I considered friends, we do daily activities and stuff, they would stop hitting me up, not because they like forgot about me, just because they weren't used to seeing me in their daily routine. So that's something you have to take into account of. Once you start posting, it's like you're a citizen of society again.
Right.
I'm not on my island creating and planning. People want to invite me out to do stuff or do stuff like that. And you're like, oh, I'm not just lonely here. I'm just not talking to anybody.
Yeah.
I'm not hitting anyone up. And people don't know what I'm up to. So once you have that mindset, and I've been through that twice already. And I'm like, I would call them fake, have this chip on my shoulder, be like, fake friends. No, they don't see you every day. So you're not in a daily reminder of this, to hit up. So having that mindset going forward, if anyone does hate on you moving forward, it's a good thing. It's a very good thing.
Right, yeah, you're doing
They're
something
invested,
right.
they care.
For sure.
Yeah.
To touch on the friends part, do you think that there should, no, we'll talk about friends. I talked about friends with Hammy, who's the gym owner, and we talked a little bit about what defines a friend, what defines a colleague, and all that.
Okay.
But I want to get your take on it because you brought up another good point about, social media is kind of like a friendly reminder of, oh, you're still here, you're still doing it.
Yeah.
Do you think a true friend, how you define a friend, should have to have a reminder for you to constantly be posting to say, hey, come out, hang out with us, come ball with us, or hey, how you doing? Do you feel like that's a friend, or do you think it's more than just you being on social?
So my definition, my expectations of what a friend is has drastically changed from college to the real working world.
Okay.
And it's changed in a healthy manner where in college, if you were my friend, you're like a Power Ranger to me, in the Power Ranger squad. You were my boy. I would take a bullet for you and stuff like that. And we kind of are endangering ourselves once we do that and apply that mindset, especially to someone else who doesn't know that. Because the second they fall short of that expectation, you have trust issues. You question reality. Is he really your friend?
Right.
But that's not their responsibility for them to answer those questions for you. You have to answer those questions within yourself. So I like creating moments, I like creating moments, living in the moment, creating memories. And moments doesn't have to be something grand, like we go to Vegas or something. Moments is like, hey, let's go go-karting, fuck it, because it's me and you going go-karting and we're gonna fuck around and shift all over these 12-year-olds, and just around and have fun. Like that's a moment you're sharing with that's a bond,
Yeah.
So with friends, I know that you need to create mutual value with friends. So there are friends I still have from college or high school that we have no value exchange yet. And I hit those friends up periodically to do certain things that we bonded over. Mm-hmm. Basketball, video games, working out, drawing, Tai Chi, Jiu-Jitsu, stuff like that, The friends who I'm in business with and we have a business relationship with, I do those things, but they get more time because it's value-based. Yeah. We're exchanging different value, What I've learned from this is that with a friend that you have personal responsibilities and your responsibility is to be more communicative than them and your friendship, because that means you're the better friend. And so that's how I go about my friendships now. I will hit my friends up and be annoying, and be pestering almost, so they know, hey, motherfucker, I love you and I'm still thinking about you. And to the people I stopped doing that, they'll ask, are you mad? Like, what's wrong? Like, how come you haven't, said what's up in a while? So people really start to value and expect that. And side note, but I learned to randomly start hitting people up because I had this one friend on Instagram, shout out to Sean, my boy. He sends me memes and I don't respond. Either I'm busy, either I see it and I don't respond. And I think in my head, this man's probably gonna hate me because I'm not responding or something. Till this day, right now, he will send me a meme.
That's great.
Funny. And how
long has he been doing that for?
He's been doing this for 6 months. We met earlier this year playing basketball. He's been doing it for 6 months.
Okay.
Great guy. The craziest part about it is that of those 6 months, there's one day where I had a shitty day. Nothing was going my way. Nothing. I felt like a loser. I felt like having panic attacks, wanted to, go back or whatever. I opened up one meme that he sent me like a week ago, and I laughed so freaking hard at the meme because the meme was relatable to a situation we shared.
Okay.
And the meme that he sent is because he thought of me and that relationship. And that right then and there made me feel like, okay, someone is thinking about me and appreciates me other than the value that I'm producing. So that communication rule came from that little practice. My friend just still sends memes. He doesn't know about it either. He still sends me memes. So,
but that's the point, is he's sending it without the
no
care in
value
the world or the value in the world that you would be open to respond.
I've literally been ghost on social media, working on my life. He will still think about me, send me memes. So very powerful.
That's huge, man. That's something to hold on to for sure. I think it's interesting because, again, I'm never going to say that I have the clearest, the most accurate answer of what a friend is. I think everyone can define a friend in whatever way they want to, and that's where the issues can evolve in communication or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But you described it as your business friends and your friends, that provide value to you on your everyday exterior life. Yeah. I think it's huge that you prioritize them that way, because I feel like if you're trying to mix both of them, if you turn into, well, why is it that you answer his call, 6 hours out of the day and then mine only 3? Yeah. Well, bro, he's paying you. You're not. Like,
right. Yeah. Like,
shut up. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's cool that you do that, because again, another learning thing of, you can have friends inside and outside of business. Mm-hmm. Maybe challenging, but you can. Mm-hmm. And I guess my overall point, or just overview of what a friend is and how I define a friend, I see everything people, it's transactional. You are going to get something out of me. Mm-hmm. And you're damn right that I'm going to expect something out of you. Mm-hmm. So I would say my friend group is very small, circle of maybe 5 or 6. 3 of them, about 3 from high school. And then a few that I met when I started my first job at a Boys and Girls Club. Okay. So definitely tight knit. They've all met each other. I'm the guy that, brings everyone together when we go back into town, we go to the bar.
The group leader.
Yeah, exactly. The group leader. Yeah. Well, sometimes, I'm the guy sending out texts like, hey, bro, how you doing? Calling, hey, how's everything going? Mm-hmm. Congratulations, you just graduated, blah, 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 whatever. But sometimes it's like you said, the ringleader, needs some type of value back. Like, call me. Mm-hmm. You coming up to Arizona? I live in Arizona. Let's figure something out. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that's not always met, and the communication thing is huge, because that's where I can honestly say I can do better about, hey, bro, like, just let me know when you're up here. You stay, go eat, go whatever, and we'll go from there. Mm-hmm. But what I found is not everyone defines a friend as like you and I have talked about. Like some people really just want to use you for what you bring or offer to the table, and then that's that, which is fine, Yeah, you can't blame them. The communication part is huge, because it's like, I've learned now with people that I've come across, like, what is it that you're truly looking for? And it sounds corny as fuck, like it does. But why are friendships defined differently than a relationship? Just because it's me and you, and I was to ask you, well, what are you looking for in a friend? Mm-hmm. You looking for a guy that's just trying to go out, 9 to 2 o'clock in the morning? Mm-hmm. Sorry, brother, I can't do that anymore. I'm not that guy. Mm-hmm. Like, I work, I work in my craft, I work outside of my work. But I'm down to have a few drinks, once a week, or I'm down to go out maybe once a month, maybe twice if it's just like a casual drink. But that's what I'm talking about in terms of, what are you trying to get out of me? How can I get something out of you? I tried the whole business, like, hey, you have a like-minded mind as me. Let's try to work together, do something together. Mm-hmm. But I want you as a friend first. Mm-hmm. I want you as a boy, like as a homie. Like we got each other. Didn't really work out and pan out that way. And it's like, okay, 26 years old, gonna be 26 next year.
Okay, same here.
So it's like, friends are fucking hard to make nowadays, man. They can be hard to make because we all have lives. Yeah. But I think that's an excuse because I can make time for the stuff I want to make time for. You know, like
So you said it right there. You can control what you bring out of the friendship, and I think people need to stop obsessing what the other friend does or doesn't do, and be in full control. We're gonna make another point. I mean, cut you.
No. Go for it.
That's the biggest thing, because how many times do you find yourself being like, well, why didn't he call me back? Or, why didn't she text me back after I said I texted her? Who cares? Because you're doing it to other people probably on your phone, and you know that everyone's busy because everyone has bills to pay. So who cares, The friends that do respond, the friends that do cherish your time together, it will show for itself. And then it's up to you to see if you want to nurture those friendships or cut off, those ties. Something really important that I found, a slight adjustment, is spending less time with friends when you do hang out with them. Sometimes not even more than 2 hours. They'll be confused. They'll be like, why? They're like, oh, I just got someone after I got an appointment to make. Say something.
Right.
But that little time adjustment increases your value, increases your presence value, increases everything you have to say. And it's sickening to see, but the next time you hang out with them, they're more valuable, your time more attentive, less off their phone, not looking on Tinder, or do stuff, It's crazy, but it works.
It is, and I think that's kind of where, where we're at with the whole thing, because all my friends are back home. So it's like...
In New Mexico?
Yeah. Okay. So all of them are home. I got one in Atlanta who's coming down for New Year's, but I think it's a struggle because, we're 26, and I'm the youngest in my company right now, but my mindset has always been, I'm gonna work hard, I'm gonna try to make what I can make, and I want to get to a point to where, I don't really gotta work as hard anymore. Like, I'm not trying to work till I'm 70 years old, man. Like, I want to work and work my ass off so that by the time I'm 40, I don't want to work that hard anymore.
Exactly.
I'm just trying to live my life.
Exactly.
Not everyone has that mindset at 26. And that's okay. Trust me, I'm not better than anyone. I am not living my life perfectly. But what I will say is there's people out there that have the same mindset as me that are going to be down to hang out on a Friday night inside making content, talking, shit about whatever, and having a good time rather than being out buying cables for $500-$600 and, going crazy every weekend. I know there's people out there, So it's like, it is a struggling time, because I had this conversation with my girlfriend, and I'm like, babe, I need to make friends. Like, my New Year's resolution right now is to find people that I can build a relationship with and really have that opportunity, not the result of having that friend, but the opportunity to create a friendship.
Okay.
So that's kind of where things are at. But just alone on the friends part, it can be tricky, at our age. Everyone has their own shit.
Everyone's like a kid at a candy store. They have so many options, and nothing is assured. So what they do is, this option, no, I don't like the way that's going. This option, no, let's stay committed. So, like I said, value your time and make sure you're doing your part in the friendship. You'll have no guilt if the friendship ends.
No, that's facts.
Yeah.
That's facts. So we're about an hour and some change in, man.
Okay.
Like I said, I've appreciated everything that you've shared today. I would say the last 10 minutes, I really want to get a little bit deeper on, your why. You talked about what you've done. You talked about, the process to where you got to with the interview, to the work that you're doing, to the reason why you stopped Instagram and TikTok. Mm-hmm. But really, why is it that you do the things you do? And what was that point in your life that really flipped the switch and said, I need to get my shit together. I want to get my shit together.
For sure. So my why to do what I do, it's honestly for stability, something in my family history that was very precious to us. And not many people had the discipline to do it right. Okay. You could say that my parents were kind of fiscally irresponsible. And it wasn't because of them, it was because of their surroundings. They didn't know how to become financially stable. They weren't encouraged to pick up, rich dad, poor dad, and learn the differences about money, saving habits and stuff. And they're at a point in their time where they're reliant on someone else to do the heavy lifting for them that they couldn't do. And I used to be scared of that challenge. I used to have no direction as to how I was going to handle that challenge. But now that I'm succeeding in what I like doing, I have a real reason I can take care of my family, multiple generations of my family, with the efforts I put in. I just have to be accountable of myself. So that's my why.
Yeah, man. Did you write that down or something?
No, I actually forgot it. I'm writing out. Yeah. Because I think about it.
No, bro, not even laughing because that's powerful, dude.
Yeah, it's real. It's what it is.
That's just, I don't know, like, that's some G shit. Like, touching overall, you don't have to, like you said, you don't have to be that person that takes care of your family. You could easily do it, or, you just let them go.
Mm-hmm.
But for you to look at it that way and take that kind of perspective of, I'm the guy, like, I'm gonna do this.
Mm-hmm.
I think it says a lot about your character, and what family means to you, regardless of how you feel like, or what was done, what wasn't done, how you were brought up, how you weren't brought up.
Mm-hmm.
I think the overall characteristic that tells me about you is you love, like you truly love, and regardless of how you feel towards that, you're doing it, man.
I appreciate that.
You're putting that good energy into the air. You're putting that love into the air for not only just your family, but for yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's easier to go to bed at night knowing that you're helping someone out, regardless of the circumstance,
Mm-hmm.
rather than going to bed at night resenting stuff that you have no control over.
Exactly. So it's easy to say that you can be successful and you give everything back like I'm some sort of saint.
Right.
But I definitely, there's things that I've been through in my life that can greatly help people who are going through similar situations. And if I can portray that in a way where it's useful, I'm all set. I've done everything I need to do in this world.
Yeah, man. I would say, not even to try and touch to anything that, that goes into that.
Mm-hmm.
But I challenge you, man. I truly challenge you to make this year about touching and diving into a little bit of that. Because I guarantee you, like you told me how I helped you with motivating you to do some stuff, I guarantee you there's people out there in your similar situation that are looking for that call, are looking for that reach of like, dude, I know someone else is going out, but why is it just me? Why is it me? And they see someone like you, regardless of what that is, and you share a little bit of that. I think it gives more of a personality to yourself. And I know you talked about, I've gotten that, I'm stuck up, or that I'm cocky, or that I'm this. I think that humanizes you a little bit more, and it shows that, oh shit, bro, like he's not just this dude that has, numerous clients that's making money and you live in his life. Like, everyone has some shit to them, bro. Everyone has baggage.
Mm-hmm.
And no one needs to know your baggage, but at the same time, people want to know you. People were dying to know who you are, commenting, hey man, it's a sick logo. They want to feel you, they want to reach you, at some personal level. And I think it's always good to have a little bit of that personality show out in your brand, because a brand is a person. A brand is somebody that can share what true feeling is. And you got that, bro.
I appreciate it.
So
exactly what I was gonna say. I'm in a unique situation, and this is kind of how I want to pan out, where the last 6 months I was on the plateau of hitting a certain financial goal with my business or something.
Yeah.
And I'm in a situation where it's just starting to snowball up. So making content now rather than making content once I'm at the end point saying, this is how I made all my sales and showing a screenshot,
Right.
I think that's how I want to portray my content. And it's going to be by actually doing the work in front of them and explaining why I did what I did,
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's what I'm going for this year. So I accept your challenge.
Yeah,
You'll see me back on video platforms.
I love that. A cool thing, I feel like and it's crazy how it always pans out. There's always like regardless of beginning, middle, end, there's always 10 to 15 minutes in the show that it's just the glue of what people want to hear. It's just, oh yeah, he's doing great in this, he's doing this, but, everyone on your podcast is doing something. Like, what's different about this? And then there's those 10 minutes of like that true feeling and emotion coming out of like, oh shit, that's deep.
Mm-hmm.
I think that this is your part. And to add more to that, it's interesting how every story that is told is a movie, You're your own main character, bro. Like, that's crazy that I'm looking at you and you're telling me your story. And the greatest part about doing this is I get to envision what your story looks like based off of how you're telling me it.
Exactly.
And what I do is I tell it through, a platform that allows people to create that vision or that piece of visual art that's like, oh wow, I can see him actually going to do this, starting from zero, coming up to this, and seeing where he can go. So I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on and having the ability to share my story like I did. So
yeah, so again, what you do, the reason why you're here, is all because of that underdog mentality you talked about.
Oh yeah.
You know, going into, you know, we're sitting here, we're in 2023 right now. By the time this episode's out, what are some things that you would tell, you know, your people that comment on your videos, or they used to, or people that are wanting to kind of do something along your lane, or your I would say your specialty? What would you have to tell
them? I would say that if you're passionate about doing something and you know that it will provide, you know, general use in the world, and you have standards of how you like to distribute that product or talent, make sure you have the ability to adapt to your situation while not jeopardizing your end goal. If that means that you have to work a 9 to 5 to make sure you're saving up to save up, you know, 4 months income to invest into your other side hustle, and once you quit or something like that, make that change. If you have to learn, for example, right now, I'm learning how to, there's so much things that AI is saving me right now. I have a free business phone number that I used to pay for. I have a free virtual assistant that I used to pay for across overseas. So using that and using those adaptations and or using that type of stuff and adding it to your main purpose or your goal is how you're gonna get there.
That's facts.
Can I say that one more time, or is it not one time?
Nah, that's
it.
That's good. Let me cut it out on that.
Thank you,
Caleb, I appreciate your time, bro.
Thank you, man.